The words fell into the middle of the dining room like a glass shattering on tile. Conversation stopped. Forks hovered in midair. Even the football game murmuring from the living room suddenly sounded too loud. For a moment, I thought I had misheard her. Across the table, Melissa sat stiffly beside my son, Daniel. Her hands were folded neatly in front of her plate, but her jaw was tight. She wasn't smiling the way people usually do when they say something sharp and then pretend it was a joke. No, she meant it. I cleared my throat. Well, I said slowly, setting down my fork, that's a strong thing to say before dessert. Daniel looked like someone had unplugged him. His mouth opened, then closed again. My granddaughter Lily, who was 8 and more interested in the marshmallows on the sweet potatoes, looked between us like she was watching a tennis match. Melissa didn't look away. You know exactly what I mean, she said. I leaned back in my chair. For 69 years I had lived a fairly quiet life. I worked 35 years at the same hardware store. I paid my taxes. I raised my son after his mother died. No one had ever called me hateful before. Strict, maybe. Stubborn, definitely. But hateful. That's a big accusation, I said. Care to explain it? Daniel finally spoke. Mel, maybe this isn't the time. It's exactly the time, she cut in, because everyone pretends not to notice. The room felt smaller suddenly. The smell of turkey and gravy that had seemed comforting a few minutes ago now sat heavy in the air. She looked straight at me. You've spent years making people feel small. I blinked. I beg your pardon. You criticize everything, she continued. The way I cook, the way we raise Lily, the way Daniel handles money, you wrap it in advice, but it's just judgment. Daniel rubbed his forehead. Melissa. But she was already rolling downhill. Last month you told Daniel he was too soft because he didn't yell at Lily for getting a B in math. I frowned. I said he should push her to do her best. You said he was raising a quitter. That's not what I meant. But it's what you said. Her voice wasn't loud. That made it worse. Calm anger is harder to ignore. I looked at Daniel. Did you feel that way? He shifted uncomfortably. Dad, sometimes you do come across a little harsh. Harsh? That word I'd heard before. My chest tightened. I raised you by myself, I said. After your mother died, do you remember that part? Of course I do. Then you remember that I didn't have the luxury of being soft. Melissa shook her head. No one is denying what you did, she said. But surviving something hard doesn't give you permission to hurt everyone afterward. The word hurt hung in the air. For the first time that evening, I felt something besides irritation. I felt tired. I looked around the table, the plates, the cranberry sauce I had carefully shaped out of the can, the pie cooling on the counter. I had cooked all of it. Not because anyone asked. Because that's what I always did. Daniel used to love Thanksgiving when he was a kid. We didn't have much money, but I made sure we had turkey every year. Even the year my truck broke down and I had to walk 3 miles to the store. I looked at my granddaughter. Lily, I said gently, why don't you go see what's happening in the football game? She slid out of her chair quickly, sensing adult weather. The room grew quieter after she left. Melissa crossed her arms. I'm not trying to start a war, she said, but someone had to say it. I studied her. She was a good mother, a good wife, I knew that much. But she looked at me like I was a problem that had been left too long unsolved. Let me ask you something, I said. Okay. When was the first time you decided I was hateful? She hesitated. Honestly, I'd prefer that. She sighed. 3 years ago, Christmas. I remembered that Christmas. Daniel had lost his job 2 months earlier. They were struggling. I had offered to help with the mortgage, but Daniel refused. That night, I had said something at dinner. You told Daniel he should have chosen a real career instead of marketing. I frowned. That was practical advice. You said it in front of everyone. Silence stretched. Daniel spoke quietly. It embarrassed me, Dad. I felt something twist in my stomach. I thought I was helping. You were criticizing, Melissa said. The strange thing was, I still didn't fully understand. When you grow up the way I did, words like gentle and encouraging weren't common tools. My father had believed in two forms of communication: orders and silence. If he thought you were doing badly, you knew. If he thought you were doing well, you also didn't hear anything. That was just life. I pushed you because I wanted you to succeed, I said to Daniel. I know. Then how does that make me hateful? Melissa leaned forward. Because love that only shows up as criticism stops feeling like love. That landed harder than anything else she'd said. For a moment, no one spoke. I looked down at my hands. They were old hands now, the skin thin, a faint scar across the knuckle from when Daniel was 10 and I cut it fixing his bicycle chain. I had never been good with words. I was good at doing things. Working overtime so he could go to summer camp. Driving all night to his college dorm. Paying his first rent when he couldn't. But I rarely said the softer things. Pride. Encouragement. Love. Those felt awkward. I cleared my throat. So let me get this straight, I said quietly. You think I hate people because I don't sugarcoat things? Melissa shook her head. No, I think you've been carrying so much hardness for so long that you forgot how to speak kindly. That hurt more than the original accusation. Because a small part of me wondered if she might be right. Daniel looked at me carefully. Dad, when's the last time you told me you were proud of me? The question caught me off guard. The answer didn't come. Not because I wasn't proud, but because I couldn't remember saying it out loud. The room felt suddenly heavier. I looked at the empty chair where Lily had been sitting. Then back at my son. You know I'm proud, I muttered. Daniel smiled sadly. Yeah, I think so. Melissa didn't say anything. She just watched me. And for the first time, I realized something uncomfortable. Maybe she hadn't called me hateful because she despised me. Maybe she said it because she wanted something to change. I sighed. Well, I said slowly, I suppose Thanksgiving is as good a day as any for honesty. Melissa raised an eyebrow. Meaning? I rubbed the back of my neck. I don't think I'm a hateful man. She waited. But I might be a difficult one. Daniel chuckled quietly. That's fair. I looked at Melissa. And maybe, I admitted, I've been speaking the language I grew up with, not the one people actually need. Her expression softened slightly. That's all I'm saying. The house was quiet except for the faint roar of the football game. After a moment, I stood up. Well, I said, grabbing the pie knife, before we solve 70 years of emotional communication problems. I cut a large slice of pumpkin pie. We should probably eat dessert. Daniel laughed. Melissa smiled for the first time that evening. And as I handed my son the first slice, I said something that felt strangely unfamiliar leaving my mouth. You turned out all right, kid. He looked up. Thanks, Dad. I hesitated. Then I added, a little awkwardly, I'm proud of you. For a moment, no one spoke. But the silence this time felt different. Warmer. Like maybe Thanksgiving had worked after all.